Burns ordinance, you need to call you.
After this?
Huh?
After this, we gotta,
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah,
health
absolutely.
board, the
Yeah.
board of health.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I got 5 more meetings.
All right, okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's currently 7:08, and I would entertain a motion to start the meeting.
I'll make that motion as stated.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so meeting is now in order. To get started with the meeting, we're going to do a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could take a moment of silence, as we know, things have changed a whole lot in a week, and there's a whole lot going on in a lot of people's lives, and a lot of hurt and pain, and the virus out there that we need to think about. So let's take a moment of silence and just think of all of those affected by this plague and other things. Okay, and if we can now take a moment of silence and really think about all the things that we're grateful for in life, all the wonderful people we have in our lives, family, friends, and so forth, and let's just rejoice in a moment. Okay, thank you. Grandbabies and puppies. Okay, so going on in the meeting, I will go ahead and, before I get started, ask if there is any objections on the agenda. With none heard, the agenda is approved. Councilmember Blue is absent and not feeling well. Is there a motion to excuse her from the meeting?
I'll make that motion to excuse Councilman Blue from the meeting of March the 10th, 2020.
Okay, great, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Ms. Blue is now been excused. The next order on the agenda is to talk about the work session. In last week's work session, which was on Tuesday, March the 3rd, reporting that we met with Mr. Santos Ramirez in relationship to property at 41st and Newark Road, and approved him moving forward on the property as he has made the adjustments that have been requested of him. We talked about our appreciation dinner, which will be on April 24th, which is our yearly dinner to appreciate the volunteers who help us in helping this town work. We talked about Earth Day. On April 25th is when Earth Day will be observed. There will be many cleanups up and around town, but we're going to do a green table, which will likely be up on 40th Avenue, so that we can be available for people to see certain things that they can do in order to make their life better. And we're also going to have a community yard sale that day. So I'm going to be looking into getting a dumpster so that after the community yard sale, people can clear everything out, get some things out in the dumpster, and so we'll make it a community yard sale day on April the 25th. We talked about the women's luncheon. Normally we would all go, but we're being conservative this year, so we're just getting 3 tickets. We talked about having sexual harassment classes, and since then those classes have been scheduled. We have talked about SureScan, which is a business that actually scans in all of your records so that you can actually get everything online and start getting rid of paper, but decided that we're probably not quite ready to make that leap yet. We talked about and voted on purchasing a police vehicle because we need a car for our chief. Because when we were splitting a chief, Cottage City had the car, and so Cottage City has that car, and so our chief doesn't have a car, so we voted to purchase a vehicle. Fortunately, from within the police budget, because we've had so many challenges and had keeping officers and so forth over the years, we have money in the budget that can accommodate purchase of this vehicle without going outside of the budget. We talked about the budget schedule, and I will now say what that is. I could read my own handwriting. Mr. Baden is to have the budget to me by March 31st. And then, in working together, I will have a budget for the council by April the 7th. And then on April the 14th, we will meet after our meeting, our regular town meeting, to start a conversation about the budget. And then on May 7th, we'll finalize the budget and report out, have a hearing on May 12th, and then we will vote on the budget on
14th.
Oh, this is May 14th?
Yep.
Oh, May 14th. We'll have a hearing on May 14th, and then we will vote for the final budget on June the 9th. If you have any questions or want to know more about the budget,
I'm sorry, that's May 5th and that's May 12th, so
Oh.
it's the 2 meetings in May.
the 2 meetings in May, May 5th and May 12th. Okay. And June 9th is right.
And then June 9th is the adoption.
So we
Yes.
adopt the budget on June 9th. And so if anybody's interested, and you want to hear those dates again, please feel free to call up to the town hall and get more information on that. Okay, we discussed the Main Street booth at MML and who all was going to be attending. So we'll be taking 2 staff members along with the mayor and council to go to MML. Maryland Black Mayors is having a conference, and we agreed to purchase 5 tickets to the conference. We are purchasing a new laptop, computer purchase for the police chief. Again, it's the same situation where we were sharing the laptop with Cottage City, and so now they have the laptop, and so we have to get a laptop for the chief. We discussed the Home Serve Plumbing Marketing Agreement. And Mr. Barr has made some changes to the agreement that we actually voted on with the contingency that Mr. Barr would approve it, and he has made some changes, so it's going to go back to them again. This is, again, it's a plumbing service. This services your plumbing pipes from your house to the street. And so we'll hear back from that next month on where that goes. We talked about the coronavirus, or COVID-19, and establishing a board of health, and we'll talk about that a little bit more on this agenda. We discussed the census. We had a census meeting on yesterday
So many meetings, yes.
to talk about kicking off for the census. I want to say this to anybody who's listening, anybody who knows anybody who is listening, or who is not listening, that the census is highly critical. Everybody needs to be counted. You know, whether a person is documented to be a U.S. citizen or on a visa or in any age group, from 0 all the way, if you're breathing, we need to be counted. This money goes to our schools, it goes towards libraries, it goes to the fire department, it goes to hospitals. The money that we get from the federal government is dependent on our count. And so if we're here and we're using these resources, no matter what your status is, we need to be counted. I want to state that it is illegal for anyone to use any census information negatively on anybody. It's only about the count. So everybody, everybody, check in with them, see if they count. We're going to be having some great events whereby if you filled out your census by April the 11th, and April 1st is Census Day, and if you've done it, you'll be able to go into a drawing. If you come up to our meeting on April the 14th, you'll go into a drawing and be able to win some fit watches or gift cards. So to encourage everybody to actually do that. There will also be some opportunities for some people to work in the neighborhood. You know people on your block, and you'll make a certain amount of money, don't remember the number right now, for however many people you get to sign up, or whoever hasn't signed up. Our goal is 100% of the households in Colmar Manor are actually fill out the census. The next conversation, we talked about the senior van, and I'll let Mr. Baden give us an update on that, because the senior van has huge repair issues and is consistently having these huge repair issues. And our senior van, most of the cost goes to Bladensburg, because more Bladensburg riders ride the bus than everybody else, and we pay proportionately for the senior van. And so he had to check with Bladensburg, or we asked him to check with Bladensburg first before we committed to making payments for the van. The park pavilion, I'm sure you all want to hear about the pavilion that burned down, and we did finalize what will be the what will be done to exchange it. The problem was they were saying, well, we could have what we had before, but what we had before burnt really fast. And so we wanted to look into say, what can we have that has a better rating? And so we believe that we have selected something with a better rating, and Mr. Baton has been authorized to move forward to get the pavilion back up and running. So hopefully in a month or so, we can have that done.
They are waiting.
Yes, everybody's waiting for the park to be back up.
Cheer now.
I know. And also, so we'll be replacing the computer in my office to a 64-bit, because it's really, really, really old. But it's also going to give us a chance to also use that computer for anybody who wants to come up here and do the census. You can do it up here. We're on the list for anybody you know who might not be from this town who still needs it. We're on the list as a census hub. So if someone wants to come and they don't have access to a computer at their home, they can come here to fill out their census paperwork. And we also made a decision on our town tagline, which is a sustainable community of opportunity. So that's where we're going on that. And that's my report on the work session. As for the mayor's report, I don't have a whole lot to report out this month. I'm thinking a second while I let the council members go on with the report. Do you have a report, council member?
Well, I really don't have a
Ward two.
report, but today I was looking at the news, and they had this 4-year-old girl on the news who said she said she was ugly. So, and she was crying. She was getting her hair braided at the hairdresser. So, just lift your family members up and tell them how much you love them and how beautiful they are. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, Councilmember Bolden, and happy birthday to you. And yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I wasn't going to go here, but because you went there, suicide is really real. When you have a third grader commit suicide in the District of Columbia, that's something to think about. So just as pity-patting off of what Councilmember Bolden said, please just hug your child, let them know, even if it's not your child. If you see someone, I know you can't really hug them, but if you can tell if something's going on. They may not share it with their parents, but they may share it with their neighbor or their neighbor's kids or something. So we have to really look out for our children because they are the future. Of course, Election Day is coming up in May, and of course I will not be running. I have 6 more meetings to go as your elected official, but I won't be going anywhere. I'll still be involved, very involved in the community. And And I was hoping that whoever's running for my seat or who wanted to run will at least come and see how we operate as far as sitting here being an elected official. It is definitely more than going to 2 meetings, but it is very rewarding because you're doing something for your community that you'll get back. So I wish all the candidates good luck, and I'll be right calling you all the time. Also, I wanted to ask the neighbors to please, now that the weather has changed, please be mindful of your neighbors as far as when you're having events outside with the music. Notify them with different things that's going on. It's very important for us. We have to live together in this town. And that's all I have for my almost last meeting. Thank you.
All right, Ward 4, Councilmember Mendoza.
Thank you, Councilmember Jackson. Again, it's sad that she makes these announcements that she's counting down her her days, but she will be missed. And she's serious about anybody that wants to shadow her and see what it's like to be on the council. So, and it's a good idea to, while she's still here, to shadow her. And I'm going to echo off of Mayor with the census. So I know a lot of you have gotten this in the mail, so get counted. You know, this helps definitely with our schools, with the lunch programs, any emergency services. So definitely you will be, if you're getting it in the mail, you're going to be hearing it from us also. And another thing, to piggyback off of Councilmember Jackson, it is true, the weather's getting warmer, even when the weather wasn't getting warmer, but just respect your neighbors. I mean, not everybody has the same schedule, noise, and I know when the weather gets warmer, noise can get even more higher and the get-togethers can become more. So let's just respect each other. This is our town of Colmar Manor, so let's respect each other, love each other, and that's it.
Well, thank you so much for that. So I'm going to echo everything that all of you just said. I did not hear about the young girl Councilmember Bout was speaking about, but in general, civility is the only thing that makes the world go round. We have to care about people like we care about ourselves. We know how we get hurt if something happens to us. Let's think about another person being hurt if something happens to them. And the more we come together, and especially when we're going through some really difficult times, sometimes a person might be upset. You don't realize something just happened to them. And they might say something to you out of line. But then think, well, I don't know what's going on in their head. And then try to say something kind back. I always tell my children, please, thank you, and I'm sorry. Those are the words that we should use in our vocabulary as often as we can. Please, thank you, and I'm sorry. So with all that you guys have said, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I thank y'all all for that, because we all need to continually say that to each other all the time. I will report, okay, so I want to make sure everybody, if you're doing your taxes, please, 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 when you're doing your Maryland taxes, make sure that where it says, do you live in a municipality, put Colmar Manor, because that's a really critical piece of our tax income coming in from there. I also want to remind everybody, if you own the home that you live in, you have a right to a homestead tax credit. You can just go online, ask for Maryland Homestead Tax Credit, and fill out the form and send it in, so that you're getting your taxes done properly. I did work with a resident the last couple of months, really trying to help her pull some things together. If you're a senior and you have a limited income, you're likely eligible for a home tax credit?
Homeowner's tax.
Homeowner's tax credit, and that's income-based. So, and if you know of any seniors who may need that support, let me know. I'm totally willing to work with whomever needs the help. to get their forms filled out and so forth. So that that was put there for them specifically, and it does not look like a lot of people are taking advantage of that homeowner's tax credit. So also we have Black History Month, and I was happy to attend several Black History Month events. We had a really nice event here. We focused on blacks in the military, and particularly World War I. We got to see the film Saving the Peace Cross, which was really awesome. And I want to thank Ms. Renee again for actually, what's her name, Renee Smith? For putting that. Green, Renee Green, for putting the documentary together. I knew she had one of my names. I know. Both of those were my names at one point. Also got to visit the school, as I usually do, for If You Were Mayor, to speak with students and do some readings. So I read through some of the essays that the kids who won from last year to the students so that they could actually see what other kids have won. I want Roger Heights to win because we never have won the If You Were Mayor contest. So that was really cool. And also Sustainable Maryland, which we are, Sustainable Maryland, we hosted a event here for all the Route 1 Sustainable Maryland municipalities. So we were happy to do that. So those are some of the things that happened this month. So moving on, Mr. Baton, status of the Treasurer's Report?
Treasurer's report isn't available tonight. Will be available Thursday morning. You can either pick a copy up at the town office if you'd like one, and it will also be posted online at that time. So it's a little late getting out this month.
Okay. But I can assure you that we're actually in budget, right?
Yes.
I can second that.
I want to acknowledge Mr. Brown from Delegate Fennell's office. Thank you for coming. You have any words?
Not at the moment. Thank you for just coming to check out me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Yes.
All right, moving on. We have a police report from Chief Stone.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just want to kind of give an update of where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going. As you may know, in recent months, we've pretty much lost most of the staffing with the police department. I came on last month, and with really the primary immediate objectives is to get some officers on board. In the near future, should be able to announce the hiring of a police sergeant. It's pending a couple background processes, and then a little bit further down, but not too much further down, the hiring of 2 police officers. We're going through the interviews with those now. We did have, he was sworn in our last council meeting, a code enforcement officer, Mr. Barry Wade, who has experience with Prince George's County and municipal code enforcement as well. He's shared with Cottage City, and hopefully you've seen him around town, and his report is included with tonight's report. For the report, which is on the table and available to everyone, it includes the calls for service in the town of Colmar Manor for the month of February. 62 calls for service. That includes people calling for the police and officer initiated, whether it be a premise check or traffic stops. Because we don't have any officers other than the county and other municipalities that kind of come through, the numbers on the self-initiated items are pretty low. But of the calls for service, 11 police reports were written in the town. The good thing is that there's no crimes of violence. There's no robberies, serious assaults, things of that nature. The bad thing and what really stands out is our theft from autos at the shopping center. We had 7 during the month, and they are really crimes of opportunity. And I guess in a perfect world, you should be able to leave your purse on the front seat of the car. Don't leave your purse on the front seat of the car. Somebody's going to break the window and run off with it. And it's happened 7 times during the month in the shopping center along Bladensburg Road. Colmar Manor Shopping Center is not the only place that this is happening. It's happening throughout the area. but we need to not leave our items in the cars and the vehicles. We've been working, I've been doing some patrols down there. Been working with the shopping center, who has hired some off-duty county officers, been working with the county police, who's been providing supplemental patrols, but it is still going. We had one as recent as yesterday. I don't think we had any today, but we did have one yesterday. Also on the report is our code report. He started kind of after the first week in the month, but is out there and is issuing warnings. And one here just issued, it limits the number of warnings issued. The next month we'll work on getting what he's out issuing violations for. We'll get a listing of that. So, any questions?
So I'm looking at this hit and run.
Yes.
That was here?
That was here at Town Hall. A parked vehicle was struck. And the person doing the striking did not leave any information.
Oh, that was
I
Black History
know.
Month.
Yes, that was on the 15th.
Is there a motion to accept the police report, chief's police report?
I'll make that motion as stated.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes. Just want to, if you all have a chance to pick up the police report with the car break-ins that's happening at the town center. I just want to piggyback off what the chief said. Just speaking to people that I know, this is happening everywhere. I have a sister living in Fort Lincoln, and they have a problem there. It's happening on Riggs Road. And looking at your report, Chief, it's not even a specific time. It's happening in the a.m., it's happening in the morning, the evening, the night, where opportunity lies. If someone's walking past, if they're in need of something or searching, they're gonna try your car window. So please, I just wanna say, lock the doors. Chief, is there any way the code enforcer can come to our next town meeting? I know he was sworn in last month, but just so the residents can really hear him and see what he's working on. Because
Yes.
I think in our town, that is one of the high priorities, is just people following codes. That's it. And that's the only comment I have. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Ward 1,
Absent.
absent. Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4,
Aye.
and Mayor votes aye. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chief.
There is no unfinished business, and going on to new business, which is ordinance ordinance 1, 2020.
This is the corrected copy. That one is the old one.
Oh, even though it's been put in the package, okay.
Yeah, she put the wrong one in.
Oh, gotcha. But it's still 1, because we're starting
Yes.
with 1.
Yep.
I know, I got that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is an emergency ordinance creating a Board of Health for the town of Colmar Manor, stating the
Mayor,
concerns.
we can't hear you.
Oh,
I
I'm
can't
so
hear you, so I
sorry.
know they can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, okay. This is an emergency ordinance creating a Board of Health for the town of Colmar Manor, stating the concerns of the mayor and town council for establishing the board and setting forth its powers and responsibilities. Mr. Barr, you want to give us a gist of what's in this
Yes.
ordinance?
You should have in front of you version 3/9/2020, and it says so in the upper left-hand corner. I apologize to the mayor and council for having to distribute this revised version so late. The findings of fact that you see in section 1 basically describe the present crisis over the coronavirus known as COVID-19. Its origins in China, its appearance in the United States,
What's that?
the decision of the mayor and council that they have every confidence in the existing county board of health and its appointed officials and employees,
I don't think they can hear.
which are the State Department of Health for Prince George's County.
Can you pull your
Is
mic
Your
up a
mic
little bit?
closer?
I don't think
sorry.
it's,
I don't have a
Just
switch.
slide it towards you, I think.
just bring it a little closer to you.
Bring it towards you.
Yeah, there you
All right, am I loud enough now?
go. Is it?
I'm normally loud enough.
It's not on.
Mine was on.
Let me,
Oh,
There we go.
all right. Do you want me to start over again? Or
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
In front of you tonight, in substitution of the version in your packets, is version dated 3/9/2020 in the upper left-hand corner. I'm sorry you have to be given this version now. It differs only in grammatical corrections and a little less verbiage than the previous ordinance. I had hoped to get this to you all today, but it didn't make it into your packets. The ordinance sets forth in Section 1 as findings of fact the reasons for establishing a Board of Health for the town, which go on the fact that the appearance and spread of the coronavirus in several of the United States and in the state of Maryland has caused increasingly grave concern. And I might note that the governor, our governor, Larry Hogan, Jr., has stated in his most recent statements and news conferences and broadsheets on this matter that we can only expect that this particular contagion will appear further and further in the United States and further in the state of Maryland and in our local communities. And as such, the ordinance says that the mayor and town council believe the appointment and empowerment of a board of health for the town is a sensible precaution, given the concerns and fears spread by the coronavirus, otherwise known as COVID-19. Section 5209 of the Local Government Code of the state of Maryland, in our annotated code, provides for a Board of Health for municipalities, and in particular for quarantine and health hazards. It says in subsection C, the municipality may establish quarantine regulations, authorize the removal or confinement of individuals having infectious or contagious diseases, prevent and remove nuisances, prevent the introduction of contagious diseases into the community. And that's the idea of the board. It could act faster than the town, mayor and town council, and the purpose behind it. At least my thought was that would be the purpose behind it. In section 2 of the ordinance, you will see listed there sections 5021 through 5025, which list the membership of the board, that being the mayor and town council, with the mayor as chairman or chair. I beg your pardon there. And that the appointed officials and employees of the town are hereby directed to provide such service and other assistance as is required from time to time. The board of Health has the powers granted to a municipal Board of Health under state law. It then sets forth its authority and says that it has the power to sue and be sued. It further is required to meet in May and October of each year and any other time that the board considers necessary. And that's a requirement for boards of health in the state. They have to meet twice a year. And that's why that's there. Coordinate its activities with the Prince George's County Board of Health and the Prince George's County Health Department, together with such agencies and officials of the United States, the state of Maryland, and Prince George's County as the Board of Health for the town of Colmar Manor deems necessary and proper to accomplish its goals. To report to the County Health Department whenever it feels it's important and necessary to do so. To have the power to establish quarantines and quarantine regulations. To have the power to authorize the removal and confinement of individuals having infectious or contagious diseases. Having the power to take necessary actions to prevent and remove nuisances. And I might remark that a person who is contagious and has a communicable disease can be declared, if you make the right findings of fact, a person who should be quarantined. And have the power to prevent the introduction of contagious disease into the town, to have the right and power to regulate any place where noxious things are manufactured, offensive trades are conducted, or that may cause unsanitary conditions and conditions detrimental to health, and have the right and power to regulate and prohibit the throwing of dirt, garbage, trash, and liquids in any public place, and provide for the proper disposal of these materials. Now, there's a severability clause in the ordinance, and finally, there's a finding that this is an emergency ordinance. And that has been, and for the purposes of, pardon me, it says that this ordinance and its purposes are found and declared by the mayor and town council to be an emergency, adopted and approved by unanimous consent of the mayor and town council, and I might add, sitting at tonight for its consideration. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 307 of the town charter of the town of Colmar Manor, which provides for an emergency ordinance may be adopted on the day of its introduction, and if so adopted, the emergency ordinance becomes effective on the day of its adoption. And it's available at this time for review by the mayor and council, consideration, and adoption.
All right, is there a motion to enact emergency ordinance 1/2020?
I'll make that motion as stated.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? I have a question. So, in being a member of the Board of Health, what kind of notice is required, and can there be emergency meetings held?
Can there be?
Emergency meetings, so.
Yes,
So we can hold a meeting without notice?
you can hold a meeting this evening if you adopt it.
Okay, and it can be, they are public?
Yes, they're open to the public, except for items which would be considered personal. And for that, you can go into closed session.
Okay,
But
so-
you would have to say what you did afterwards. You wouldn't have to name the individual, but you can't take any final action until you go back into a regular meeting. And then you could say, without disclosing names and addresses, what's going on, unless you wanted to announce an address. I would forbear from announcing a name, just respecting privacy of individuals. It's considered today 10 years ago, we wouldn't think about this. But today, we seem to consider it an important thing that we not name individuals.
Right.
And for just general information to the public, I would urge not to say people's names and addresses simply because it could create a panic.
Sure. Right. Yes, you got to come up to the mic.
Julianne Bethay, resident of Colmar Manor, 4206 Monroe
Is it
Street.
on? Oh,
Okay.
just
Hear me now? I can talk louder. This is the first time I've heard about this, and I have some concerns about this emergency Board of Health for the town of Colmar Manor. One, you're saying it's an emergency for the crisis, but there's not a time limit on it. Is it a 1 year, 6 months, whatever? Two, some of the things that you're saying that need to be addressed sort of steps on the toes of the code enforcement officer, one, as far as trash distribution and so forth are things that were happening. And the other thing is about the contagion. People who are contagious, this, that, and the other. You can have a cold and you're contagious. So,
Julianne, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
you can. Oh,
Thank you.
mercy. Let me talk a little louder.
What'd you say?
I'm concerned about the emergency ordinance regarding the health department, Colmar Manor Health Department. One, you say it's an emergency. Is it a time limit on this ordinance? Does it stay enacted for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, or is it unlimited? The other concern I had was that some of the things that you said that were being done or being capable of initiated by the board making up of the mayor and the council were some of the duties that seemed to step on the toes of the code enforcement officer, particularly when you talked about trash, debris, disposal of items. Third, that also hits on the police department in their enforcement of duties. The other side of it is that it sort of gives the town an additional authority when you have the health department right up the street. And my concern is that there are no health officials on this council. So the ability to enact an ordinance referring to the town as a person being contagious, I have serious question about. Again, you can have a cold that is contagious. So are you going to tell your staff people you're contagious, you are quarantined? So I have some concerns about the way this is written. I would suggest strongly you review it again, table it, and get more additional advice, because I don't think it's a good thing. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So the main purpose in us actually putting this together is to give us some proper authority over the maintenance inside of the building in particular. And the authority that we would be able to say to someone with a common cold, because we are not health professionals and we don't know in this particular crisis period, to be able to say, no, you can't come in this building. And we would need that authority. We need to have authority in place in order for us to manage what we can do in a public building.
You know, I'm in the health business.
Yes.
I'm a retired health person. My concern with that is that you would need documentation in place. Do you take the person's temperature? Do you log it down? Are you writing down symptoms? How long have they been exposed? This is what I'm not hearing.
And
this is the data that you would need in place to be able to enforce it. Then you're taking a step into the personal history, because if you want to say the person's contagious, do you have any testing to do to prove that they are?
But that's just the point. This is not a virus where
but that's why
we have
it should be time limited and left to the health department to provide the information and the wherewithal to employ techniques and tactics to assure that the town is safe. Now, if you were going to put a health group in front of the door and everyone that walks through this building has their temperature taken, and if they have a temperature, you have someone there assigned to take them immediately up to the clinic, that's another thing. But I don't see any of that happening. I hear...
So we have to put the board together first before we can,
Yeah,
we can draw out all those things. The board does that putting of the information together, and it does definitely come to the things that you're talking about, which is checking a temperature at the front door, you know.
Again, my feeling is that table it, get more information from the health department, get a liaison from the health department. I don't understand lay people taking on those powers and those abilities to make determination on an individual.
Well, I think we had this discussion at our work session. Our main concern is to protect the employees that work here. And like now with the coronavirus going on, a lot of people are very scared. And I agree with you. A cold is also something that can be spreaded. But our job here, we want to protect our employees. We have a lot of people that's coming in and out of this building. Now, right now with this crisis going on with the coronavirus, if you were to call your health provider, they will ask you, have you traveled, blah, blah, blah. So we wanted to make sure to put something in place. So there's certain things you can't, us being elected officials, we can't ask individuals. So that was the whole point of the ordinance. And by you being a registered nurse, you know, you've been in the healthcare field, maybe we should have had some type of input. But our goal was to protect the staff that's in here.
And we don't intend on operating without input. The whole idea is that this is a public facility. There's a lot of people that come through here on a very regular basis. We need to have some authority to manage who's coming in the building and to set up a set of criteria as to what appears to be the norm, as with where you're going in other places. So there is a set of questions that people ask nowadays. I mean, it's clear before
but
you.
Logistically, I don't see the materials or the equipment or the tools or whatever in place necessary to do what you're asking. Again, you're saying it's an emergency. Maybe there should be a time limit on it. I don't agree with it. I think it should be tabled. Again, I don't hear things in place as to who this, that, and the other. If anything, to ensure that the employees are protected. If they are sick, they can go home and get paid sick leave, because to many of the companies, they're not doing that. Or if they are, they're shortening their time or limiting how much sick leave they can use. So I think there may be some other ways to address that if you're looking at protecting the employees as opposed to everybody walking through the building, because the logistics is not there where you can have somebody in place. Like I said, you need some definitive measures so that you can say, oh, this person's contagious, but what gives you that authority? Again, you're only asking general questions, you're not specific. So that's...
Well, we will have we will have a thermometer at the front window.
And Mr. Barr, can you answer this question?
Yes.
We can't even make a decision as far as what we would like to take place in this particular facility until we have a board. So that's what this is all about, just to say we have a board. And when we do come to that, I think it would be great if you can give us an input, because you have that background. But we can't even go any further until we have a board to make it. Am I correct? Or, Mr. Barr, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that was established of it. I mean, this may be something that we don't even look at, and I hope that we don't have to even visit it, because I hope that, one, the people who do have the coronavirus accrued and whoever have a cold stay in so we can kind of minimize what's going on. But this is something we have to establish to go forward. And that's the recommend of mine, and that's why.
Well, as a citizen in Colmar Manor, I don't agree with it, and my recommendation would be to table it. Thank you.
All right. I thank you for your feedback.
Thank you.
I really do.
Thank you.
And as you know, as we move forward and meet, you know, we will be coordinating We will be coordinating with Health Department folks. It's just, it's time sensitive, so. Any other discussion? So I'm gonna call for a vote. Ward 1 is absent, Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
And mayor votes aye. So, we'll move on from that. All right, next order of business is, seniors report, do we have one? Oh, Ms. Bruce. Garden Club. Give me that.
Good afternoon to everyone. How's everyone doing on this lovely day? Nice warm weather, right?
Yeah.
It's time to garden, okay? So we have some plots available on the west garden. We have money coming in slowly, but it's coming in. The east garden plots, there's no more plots available, but we are looking to finish up the plots in the west garden. We're asking everyone, it's a fee, it's a $20 fee. And you have to pick up the guideline, because you have to read the guideline. You have to understand what we're doing. We are not putting any chemicals in our plot. We're asking everyone to please read over those guidelines, because I will not allow chemicals in the garden. Julianne and I have been working very hard in those gardens, right, Julianne? Okay. We have a picnic table that we got from Community Forklift that donated us a picnic table. I have someone that we're gonna start working on it tomorrow to sand it down and try to put a little color in it. The Maryland University student, the volunteer, she's gonna come and paint the sign for both East and West Garden. We got all the paint, I got the brush, I got everything she asked for. She's gonna actually working on a design, and she's going to send it back to us, so the mayor and council will be getting a copy of the design to see if this is what we want to go with. If not, we try to find something that's to work with. We meet every third Saturday at from 10 to 2. It varies, so if you have my email address, I will send out where we'll be meeting the week of the meeting. So the third week of the month, I will be sending out to all the gardeners where we'll be meeting. We are, I think that's it. We are selling plants on April the 4th. Community Forklift has a community, what is it called, gardening and community garden, something in the garden. They're community forklift,
day.
and every year they allowed us to have a table that we could sell plants. So we have residents that are doing planting for us, which I'm so happy, and we're going to sell for about $1, right? For about $1, and try to make money fundraising from that. We also have a anonymous volunteer, anonymous person in town that's donating money for the beautification of the yard.
Oh.
So I sent out criteria. I sent it to Christian so you can put it in the newsletter, the criteria in the newsletter, and we're looking for outsiders to come in and judge the yards. We're not going to have anyone inside to do that. Okay? All right, so that's, any questions?
No, just thank you, and thank Julianne and yourself for maintaining and keeping up the garden and going in there even when we don't have a meeting. It takes a lot. I know you're all retired, but you spend so much time doing stuff in the town, and I really appreciate it.
Very much so.
And I'm loving it.
That's awesome, I know. Question, so the lights in the triangle,
That was
Oh,
donated.
that was,
Those lights
donated.
were donated by me, and they came, and I am willing to donate some more.
yeah,
But-
do they have a switch or something? Because some
I'm not
of them just
sure.
don't come on.
I'm not sure. I think
Oh.
it's just, they're solar
I
panels.
know they're
yeah.
solar, but then
Yeah,
but
so that
a
was
lot of-
donated,
some of
because
them
I
just don't
thought they
come on.
look really nice last
They
year.
look really nice.
Yeah.
It's just that some of them won't come on at all. I just didn't know whether it was a
Might
switch.
have
Some of those
might have
even
to
solar have
change 'em.
I don't
switches.
know, I'll try to, I just had it on my,
Well, thank you.
to.
Appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I am asking that y'all consider us in our y'all budget for the fiscal year 2021. Is it 2021 budget?
Yes.
Yes. I'm asking y'all to please consider Garden Club in your budget. But we still trying to get the shed in the West Garden.
So
Could
why
you
don't
put
you
a
put
form-
together, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can you put a formal request in within next week?
Yes, I'm gonna request it. Do you need a written one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dollar value and what you'll be doing.
Yes, I will definitely
Perfect.
have that. Also, we.
Chief?
I'm so sorry, Chief. Okay, the code enforcer, for the green team, we would like for him to try to make one of our green team meetings as well, if that's possible. I don't know if we want to do the joint one or just the town one.
Definitely could do, we
It could
definitely
be
could do
joint
the
because
joint
he's
because
the
we
same-
just, yeah,
same
same
code
time.
Yeah, for the joint. Yeah, the next joint one is March, is coming up, the third Tuesday.
17th, yes.
Yeah, the next meeting is coming up third Tuesday. If he could, and it's in Carter City, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if he can try to make that one at 7 o'clock. Thank you, Chief.
All right. All right, thank you so much.
Any questions? We good?
No, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
No, thank you to the anonymous donor.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I kind of feel like this anonymous donor may have Doretha in the name or Julianne.
I cannot tell. I'm a Girl Scout. I will not tell.
I know.
My
you-
honor.
All right.
All right, do we have a green team report?
Yes. So last month, the town of Colmar Manor, we didn't meet as a green team, but we did, I think the mayor went over, we hosted the Sustainable Maryland around the Beltway. So we had Laurel here, Mount Rainier, University Park, College Park, Brentwood, Berlman Heights. I mean, it was so many different green team members that came up, and each green team had to pick like 2 people to come up and say things that they were doing in town and things they want to move forward. And one of the great things I got out of it was we was able to network, and we had, all of us pretty much had the same ideas how we want to move forward as far as making our towns sustainable. And so it was a very successful meeting. And hopefully we'll do it again next year. And this was something, this meeting, even though Sustainable Maryland, Mike put it on, but this was suggested by our mayor. And just kudos to you.
Oh,
Yeah, you did say just get all the green teams together.
yeah.
So they had it here, so we're happy with that. So our next green team meeting is a joint green team meeting, and it's March the 17th, next Tuesday, in Carter City. It's 7 o'clock. It's an open meeting, but if you want to go, please let me know, because we do try to have light refreshments, and we're having it over at Carter City. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have a PGCMA report?
I don't have a report because last month I did not attend their meeting because I was ill. But this
Well, I
month
was there.
on it
You
was
want
in
me to?
Oh, did you go to the?
Mount Rainier?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, was
No,
it? No,
it
it
was-
was Mount Rainier. It was Greenbelt.
Greenbelt.
Oh, no, I didn't go.
know.
Yeah.
But Mount
I don't
Rainier was
think
the
any of
last
us-
one.
Greenbelt
It was
was.
Greenbelt.
Oh, wow. Okay. I missed it.
So, but this month, this Thursday, not this Thursday, next week on the 19th, we will actually be hosting PGCMA here in Colmar Manor. So if you would like to learn more about Prince George's Municipal Association and what we do, the different mayors, different elected officials, you're more than welcome to come at 7 o'clock here at the town hall. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, thank you. Do we have a report from Prince George's elected municipal women?
We haven't met the executive board met February the 21st. Prince George elected municipal women. This is a board that I will stay on because we do have present and past elected officials, so I'll still be somehow in the mix of it. It's a very important board because we get together and talk about things that's going on in the community. So that's something I can always come back and report to the mayor and council going forward. So we pretty much we talked about brainstorming some ideas how we can really empower young women to be elected officials. So we want to reach out to the Girl Scouts. We were talking about reaching out to the schools. I'm not sure if some high schools still have the city governments, but that's one of our goals we're trying to do a little bit more mentoring. Our next meeting is in April, and as of in February, we have not decided where we're going to host it. We're just looking for a town to host that meeting, but normally it's on the third Saturday at 10 o'clock. That's it.
Okay, third Saturday. Is there anything to report from MML, Councilmember Mendoza?
MML just wants everybody to census. So just echoing off that, census.
Census.
Yeah.
Yes, census.
Do census.
Okay, so thank you guys. I will also mention just certain things of discussion. I've been in contact with the mayors, Port Town mayors and the chair in Cottage City about the Port Towns Community Development Corporation. We want to try to revive the organization and have been trying to reach the chair there for a while and having some problems or whatever. So we're expecting to try to call for a meeting probably within the next month or two, and anybody can be a member of the Port Town CDC. From what I remember, the dues were $25, and so the board should have an annual meeting on a regular basis. And I don't know if Ms. Epps has heard anything new since about the board. Any info? Or did you come off the board, the CDC board?
Oh, no, I'm still on it, but I haven't heard anything.
Okay, all right. So that's what I've heard from everybody else too. So we're going to just try to revive it, invite the public, if you will, and well, first talk about, you know, what do we want to do and how can it move forward. I'll also mention in the Mount Rainier Port Town CDC meeting, we had a lot of conversation about baits. There's 27 municipalities in Prince George's County, and about 17 either use Bates or Goods, which is both owned by Bates. And we're looking forward to doing a group meeting so that as a group we can talk about some of the challenges that we're experiencing with Bates. So there was a lot, and some people are looking to say, hey, when we come together and we go to another trash company all together. And so hopefully that will happen in the next couple months as well. And I do want to mention the Maryland Black Mayors is having a conference. We'll have 10 workshops at this conference from mayors or facilitated by mayors on different topics that range from money matters to mentoring, to entrepreneurship, to environmental justice, and several other different topics that will be had. It's $99 for the conference. You can go online, it's called the Innovator Conference, or you can go to the Maryland Black Mayor's website and click on the conference in order to sign up. We expect it to be a great conference. We have invited, we've invited Bernie Sanders, Senator Sanders, and we've invited Vice President Biden. And it's going to be, the conference is on April 4th, so we do hope they'll attend, because Maryland is not just a throw up name. It's not like you know which way Maryland's going to go when it comes to the two of them. So I hope if you're interested, willing, $99, I think it's going to be a great conference. So is there any citizen comments? Okay, hearing none, I will, is there anybody has anything good for the order?
I have 6 more meetings to go.
Okay, so I expect that we'll be calling a meeting for the Board of Health in the near future to talk about what guidance and criteria that we'd like to look into. All right?
Mayor, I'm sorry. I
Courtesy call.
I have to say something. I have to echo a little bit of the concern of my fellow citizen.
And the reason I have to do that is I think that there was a time when we could count on people to follow the civil rules of society. I don't know that we can anymore, particularly in light of our present administration, where things that we thought we could count on people to do just because they're a good citizen of the United States, we can maybe no longer let things go unspoken. So the thing that concerns me about the document here, first of all, is that those sections, the subsections, were not provided to us and not provided to the citizenry. I'm not sure that there isn't a way that you guys could restrict entry to this building without forming a Board of Health. But if that is your intention, I think the citizenry should be notified as to what you are empowered to do, and this seems rather sweeping, and also what you are not empowered to do. What are your limitations? I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a healthcare official, but reading your document, it seems to me that you guys seem to have the power to say, well, somebody on 39th Avenue has the flu, we can kick them out of town because somebody else might catch it from them. That's the way it seems to come across. Am I misreading the document? So what is the board not allowed to do, Mr. Barr?
Well, the board has its power and
Can you
authority.
bring it, get the mic over?
I'm sorry. The board has its power and authority from the Maryland Code, but the board is merely a framework, as it's been created tonight, upon which you may or may not hang regulations, may or may not take into account various situations that might occur. This is all about preparation and enabling the mayor and council to act when they need to. We don't know that they're going to need to. Right now, we don't know much of anything about this, except that today, if you have a physician's order, you can get tested. Otherwise, you can't get tested. So no one is going to be testing anyone, at least as far as I can contemplate. I want to emphasize, I'm not speaking for the mayor and council, but I'm just speaking out of my knowledge of how this was created and why it was created. No one's going to be standing at the door of the town hall saying, you can't come in, unless...
Actually, the mayor did say that someone...
No, let me finish, Mayor. Unless they decide, the mayor and council decide, that it's not a good idea. And we need to protect not only the staff that's here, but all those people who need to come here during the day.
But what about the remainder of the town? It doesn't seem that
No,
this is
sir,
limited only to this
It's not the
building.
remainder of the town. It's the remainder of the town. It's the citizens of Prince George's County. It's the citizens of the state of Maryland, the citizens of the District of Columbia, people from Montgomery County, people from out of state. It's a problem that the magnitude of which we don't know, because the last pandemic in the United States had two things going for it. It was more than 100 years ago, and nobody knew what an antibiotic was, much less an antiviral drug, much less how to do a blood test to determine anything but your blood type, and maybe not even that if my memory serves me correctly. So we're in a new area. We're in an area where people have seen viruses like this come into countries in Africa, have seen viruses like this start in other communities around the world, but not here in the United States.
So if a member of our community is tested positive for COVID-19, does our board are they empowered now to have that person removed from Colmar Manor?
Not now.
But could they empower themselves to do?
They might. They're just preparing. This is
There's
preparation.
my concern.
So-
And also other diseases. So it seems the focus is rather
Well, let
broad.
me ask you, sir, if your neighbor had COVID-19 and decided that they wanted to come over to your house, would you let them in?
I may.
Well, you're a braver man than I am, come to think.
I may, but I don't want to live in a state of fear and I don't want our citizens to be removed from their homes because of something that so far science has shown us we know how to keep from acquiring this virus.
We don't know.
I would differ with you, but you know, I think we're treading on very tender territory, and
Yes, sir.
and the powers as expressed by the mayor and the board were specifically about this building. Specifically, Councilwoman Jackson and the mayor were speaking specifically about the safety of the staff within this building.
Yes,
But
let
this
me ask you-
document expands their power. And if we already have a Board of Health in the county, I think we're in very dangerous territory. We can overreact
Oh,
to
yes.
something.
So, and I hear you.
I would also say this, I would like to see the town and council take some other things that are going on in this town that affect the health and safety of their citizens with this much sincerity and this much seriousness. Other things that are fixable by small things like speed bumps, and cameras, and things like that, that are real dangers to people's lives as well. Syringes on the ground, you know, things like that. I understand your fear, we all have it. But just be very careful.
So, I mean, I hear you, and in terms of this being the solution to what was the main question, was the building, and it's not just the staff, it's everybody who comes in here, which is a lot of different people. Unlike most town halls, we're a community center. So just that is where the focus was, and I can see how you said things can expand, you know, in different ways. Having the ability to do something, I do think is the right thing for us to have to do. I'm a steady-minded person, but I might not always be in office.
Exactly.
So I understand the question of time limits on this ordinance, which I probably think is a good idea.
What?
To have to put a limit on the existence of this ordinance, because when things change, someone else in a different mindset maybe, not that council couldn't also create it all over again, because, you know, we can create emergency ordinance with a unanimous vote of the present body with at least 2/3 present. So, is there an interest?
Well, Mayor, first I'm gonna say, Doug, thank you. Always come up and speak.
I'm just saying you have 3 citizens and
Yes,
2
and I
have
said
spoken
yes.
with concerns.
I did say
So if
thank
you had a
to-
building full of people, I dare say
Yeah.
we would not be the only 2 people that would have stood.
Right, and thank you. So if we're gonna put a time limit on it, we might as well table it and have,
No, because we need to make some moves forward. The reason why I'm saying put a time limit on it is that it just doesn't roll into a whole new council who, or into, right now the way it's written, a lot of the whereas is about COVID-19, but if COVID-19 cleared up, and this ordinance exists 20 years from now because it exists right now. So when I say put a time limit, I don't mean when it starts, I'm saying when it stops being, when it stops. And I mean, that's an amendment that we can make in next month, because we can have further conversation. We know where we are right now and what we're trying to do. But what I promise you is that we'll have further conversation of any amendments we might make
Yeah,
to.
we can overreact or we can underreact, and there's plenty of historical lessons that have shown us doing both as a human race. If it's about a pandemic or an epidemic, yeah, then get specific. But the concern for me is that it's not specific. And so if we have someone who's not steady-minded, who is a control freak or a megalomaniac or a sociopath at some point, who is our mayor, and they decide no one in town should be here who has a cold, I don't see a place in the document where it says that that's not possible.
I got you.
So I think the language should be very specific. It should be something on the scale of a pandemic or an epidemic.
Yep,
Yep,
I hear you.
I hope so. Thank
We
you so
will-
much.
We will work on some amendments to it, but
Thank you.
thank you, as always. All right. Anything else, anybody? Okay, Is there a
So-
motion to adjourn the meeting?
Question.
Oh,
So, we just introduced this ordinance. So, you're.
No, you approved it.
We approved it, but can't we go back as far as to put a time limit on it?
yeah, we can amend we can amend
And
the
take-
ordinance.
yeah.
We can amend it now, or we can amend it in a month from now.
Yeah, because I don't want, I was, like I said, when we discussed it at the work session, my thing was concerned about the staff and people coming in and out. So until, the two residents came up and, because everybody look at stuff different, as far as when they came up and like, the resident said, well, if somebody have it in their home, are you gonna say they have to get out of town or something? So I do think it's a need, but I feel that maybe we should get a little bit more clarity on it. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, well,
And having someone that's in the healthcare just to give us boom, boom, boom. Because my understanding was when we talked about the work session was one, to, if an employee's sick, make sure they stay home, make sure you're washing your hands, or if someone has visited different countries or whatever, let us know before you enter the building.
Right,
Because
exactly.
of the academics. So that was
Yeah,
my.
I mean, if we
my-
go to complete,
my-
if we go to intention, that is what the intention of having this is, and we're still in our intention and not going to be overreacting. I can assure you, we will not be kicking anybody out of their house. That won't come from this council. And we can make some adjustments in order for that to feel more comfortable. And I don't have a problem doing that because that wasn't our intention, was to go to that level. And so I'll ask Mr. Barr to look into some language to tighten it down a little bit so it more focused towards our intentions.
Well, I just want to.
I can do that.
Yeah, so I can recant my vote, right?
No, you can't.
Why?
We voted,
Are we still in the meeting?
but we already took the vote.
You can,
I can't,
if the
I
if
can't
the
rescind my,
maker or
I
the
was the maker.
seconder of the motion for
I
adoption,
put a, yeah, to table it.
if the maker or the seconder of the motion for adoption moves to reconsider, then the motion can be, to adopt can be reconsidered, and language can be added, and then the matter voted on a second time. Or, if you wish, a simple answer to this legislation would be to adopt any regulations that the Board of Health desires to adopt with a limit upon them, so that they, they're valid for 6 months, or they're valid for a year, or they're valid.
So this is my concern, and this is my concern about tabling it. This particular pandemic is moving very, very quickly. I mean, really quickly. We don't have a month to start to restrict how people come in this building. There's a set of questions that if you go to your healthcare professional, they ask you the questions. Have you traveled most recently from in certain particular countries? What is your, I mean, do you have a temperature? Just taking the temperature to see if someone has a temperature. So having that authority is necessary. We're not trying to go overboard and do any crazy things, but it is something that we need to do now.
Well, Mayor, I'm just telling you from my perspective, I was the one who voted for this, and I want to recant it at this time and table it. I have to respect why I was elected to be in this seat, even though I only have 6 more 6 more meetings, but I have to listen to my residents. I didn't look at it until the way you all seen it, until you voiced your opinion tonight. I mean, yes, it is an epidemic. Yes, people, I'm hoping that if anyone do have this virus, that they stay home and stay away for 14 days. But they don't know, I mean, I just feel that we should table it at this time and revisit it and have someone who is in the healthcare
Made the motion.
She did.
facility, just
There's a
to
second.
look over it before we make it an ordinance.
Is there anything legally to restrict you from taking temperatures and handing out masks at the door right now?
I really,
There is?
I
Yeah,
think
it's a
so.
So
There's
what,
no
what
problem.
would enable them to do that without, because there seems
Well,
to be a
sir-
concern. What would enable them to do that without going this far?
I have no idea. I haven't researched it. I don't have any idea.
Because
Airports are doing that. I know I teach at 2 universities, and they have contingency plans in. I know that if you cannot get here, if you are fearful of doing your job here, you can actually close this building and work from home from your computers. You have telephones. I mean, you can call each other. You have computers. So if it's deemed that serious, you could shut down this building and work from home while you work on this document, if it's that much of a concern. One of the universities I'm working with is about to shut down the entire university. So rather than try to control people coming in and out of the door, they're just going to shut down and requiring the faculty to telecommute and to come up with ways to teach the students through online courses and that sort of thing. I mean, your stated concern is this building, and I would try to find out why I couldn't or could have some kind of stoppage at the door. If someone's coming in the door and you want to control the space, I don't see why you can't explore that.
Mr. Barr, so is it possible that in an overall statement in here, an amendment, which instead of saying where it says powers, or somewhere in here, just where it says, as it relates to the Colmar Manor Community Center?
You can do that if you want.
Okay, so can we make an amendment? Would you accept an amendment as it relates to the building?
Wouldn't that committee meet and make that specific action and that's on their...
Yeah.
No, so this is
This is the town.
So this is the situation. We have double doors in the building. We have the front doors, and then we have a second set of doors. So we actually have a vestibule in which we can have certain questions answered, and we can have temperatures taken before a person actually comes in. Person can still pay their tickets, and we can still interact with the person between the glass wall because we have that ability to do that. So we don't, it would be extreme to say we should close down the building. It's better for us to screen a person to a certain extent in the area that's protected and then make a decision based on a set of relevant questions that we would take from a professional. But it is about the building, so.
Well, the other thing to consider is that it's an issue of education as well, because some organizations are closing their building to clean and get the staff ready. Other organizations are closing until they can come up with a strategy for limiting the spread. Limiting the spread comes with education of your society. I don't hear that in your ordinance at all. All I hear is, if you have this, you can do this, you can do this, which is more like a dictatorship of power to a specific group. And in order to enforce that power, you came up with an ordinance to do so. Again, I think the ordinance should be tabled, re-examined, revisited. One, I think because you said it was an emergency ordinance, should have a time limit. You're saying you're addressing the COVID-19 or the coronavirus, but then you're also talking about other things that make people contagious. Again, a virus. A cold is a virus.
Not necessarily.
Pardon?
Not necessarily.
Well, you can, a cold is a virus, or it can be bacterial. It can be one or the other. It can be bacterial or a virus, but either way, you still got to test for it. And I don't hear the tools and the mechanisms in place that should be done if you're talking about instituting an ordinance to protect the people. Again, there's no health authority, there's no person of substantive authority to say, well, this, and this. Again, my feeling is of citizen, table, revisit.
All right, thank you for that. Would you accept a friendly amendment to limit the health department, Department of Health, to the community center facility?
I want to recant it and table it. I mean, you have two other council members, they may be different. That's just my, take.
It requires a unanimous vote,
Okay.
so one is not, so.
So my motion is to recant the emergency ordinance 01202, table it, at this time.
We can't table it because it's.
No, they have to reconsider, you have to reconsider it
Oh, reconsider it.
Consider it.
and then table it.
Okay.
Well, first to reconsider it, right, it's a
Right.
separate thing.
So
And
my
the
motion
second
is
would
to
ta-
reconsider the emergency ordinance 01/2020. And I'd like to table it. Is that correct?
And
No, you
Commissioner-
make the
No,
motion to
that's a separate
reconsider.
thing.
Oh, that's my
altogether.
motion. I'll do it separate. Okay, reconsider it.
And then Commissioner Bowden would have to approve because she was the seconder.
Yeah.
She would have to agree to
Do
that.
you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. What then?
Vote.
Discussion.
Oh.
Of discussion. Okay,
Um,
so I personally, for whatever the fear is about us having our Board of Health and what kind of authorities could be taken with it that may be abusive, is not the intent here. I do feel like it's reckless for us not to put in place some minimized authority of people entering the building. And shutting down the building is more dramatic. So I'm just going to really put that on the record. I mean, right now, we've gone from 15 cases in the United States to over 400 cases in the United States in less than 2 weeks. And we do have a case here in Prince George's County now. We know, I don't know, at the end of the day, there may be more than that. And so I hear what everybody's saying. If we need a mechanism in place for us to put some controls in it, now is the time to do it because we don't have another meeting for a month. And in a month, the number of cases that are going to be here is going to be a heck of a lot more than what we're experiencing right now. So just because we're worried about how much authority is in the ordinance, that's something we can control. What we can't control is what's happening outside. So I'm asking if you want some amendment to it in order to make it feel more comfortable, let's put an amendment in there. But let's do something.
Yeah. So Mayor, I'm on the same page with you as far as want to protect the staff that's in this building. But as far as with the ordinance, we have to also listen to our residents. I know we're here and we make decisions, but we didn't get here by ourselves. And with me listening to someone that I know that's in the medical field, as far as we have to protect not only just my take was to protect the residents, the community center. But looking at it hindsight, like, and Mr. Barr did pretty much give this to us with the corrections today, it states it can be the whole town.
Let's make an amendment.
Right, the whole town. But why can't we, you're saying that we don't have time to do another emergency order because we only have meetings. We can always make an emergency meeting. We have done it before. Not that I want to do it, but if this is something that I don't want the town hall to be shut down because people, this is how they, this,
But we would get, so this is what I don't understand in terms of that conversation. We would get input from the health department. It's actually in here that we would work with the health department, both Prince George's County and the state of Maryland. So that is actually in here that we would.
Julianne, excuse me.
I think we're trying to protect ourselves as far as certain things that we can do and say.
Right.
This is a community center. The taxpayers pay this community for this town hall. So we were trying to put something in place to protect the town as far as certain things that we can say and do when someone enters our building.
Certain things that gives us authority to restrict certain things from happening in this building that are not illegal. If something's illegal, real quick, I can call the chief, I can call whatever, somebody's doing something that's illegal, and I can move them out. But because somebody has a call right now, without a health department saying that we can have that authority, we just don't. So it's like what Doug is saying, I can shut the building down, but to say, oh, you're coughing, or oh, you just came in from China, really without a Department of Health, we don't have that authority. And our Department of Health for the state or the county are not going to do that for our building. So that's really what it comes down to. It's just very specific what intentions are. So,
I don't think your intentions in your document match.
okay.
Okay, that was my discussion. Y'all have any discussion?
Hmm.
I was asking other council. Y'all have any, Melinda?
Any discussion?
Okay, so I need to make a
Okay,
motion.
so is there a vote to recant the emergency ordinance 1/2020?
We already did.
There's already been a motion, a second, you've had
Motion, a second.
discussion, now there's a vote.
Ward 1 is absent. Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
All right. I certainly do not vote aye. So, I'm here every day. I mean, I'm in high risk every day, just like everybody else that's here every day. And it's not even a once or twice or two here, and there's people in and out of the building, you know. So, is there,
If we consider there won't be anything else with it this time, if not, then.
So
we
now
have
now
no
need to table.
guarantees in life at all.
Now we need to
Maybe
table
we
this,
consider
right?
it
Is
another
that
time.
correct? We have to table
Well, they
it?
can't reconsider it another time.
You don't have to,
Bring it up and
you don't have to do anything with it.
That's where they can
They
reconsider.
have to re-vote.
We can table it and we can also set a date for another
But
meeting.
they'd have to introduce a brand new ordinance, et cetera.
Mr. Barr, how soon can you have us another ordinance?
As soon as I'm told how to draft it.
I mean, and then what? How soon can you have it? Tomorrow, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so how about we schedule a meeting for tomorrow?
Okay, what would be the contents and changes?
So we want, as you have heard us speaking about what our interests are and what we need as this board, is to have writing that's specific to that. And it's specific to our ability to control who can come in this building.
I'm sure Chevrolet has some.
And that's all we need right now.
Do you want to put a
I'm sorry, I
limit
didn't
on
hear,
it?
I'm sorry, Melinda, I'm sorry. What are you, I'm sorry, I didn't
I
hear.
said the ability to control who comes in this building based on
Right, and also we're gonna put a time limit.
the coronavirus.
And we're talking about the building, a time limit, and,
Focus on just for this.
And this and for the time period where the coronavirus is still considered, what's the word? A threat.
A threat.
A major threat.
because that's gonna be hard, because
I have to
nobody's
tie
gonna
that-
know.
Well, we go based on, that would be based on,
I have to tie that to a fact finding, and rather than do that, would it be
We can't-
better to
Ms.
have
White.
a term limit on it, so to speak? Have
so we have to renew it?
yes,
Okay, so give it a year.
a year, okay.
Any other things you guys want him to?
And we're talking about the building, I'm sorry, I don't know if you just stressed it, the building,
Yes.
the time limit, and also, I guess we're talking about the coronavirus itself, as far as how, what we can do and what we cannot do with somebody into the building, as far as, are we allowed, just like one of the rest, are we allowed to do the mask? I guess that would be something.
So once once we create the health department, the Department of Health, and limit it to the building, yes, we will be able to say if we're going to require somebody puts on a mask or not, or, whether or not, who we can and can't let inside of the building. That would happen at a meeting of the health department.
Okay.
And
So are you all able to meet?
And what I would do is I would gather from health professionals the types of questions that are being asked in other environments that, before people can come in and so
tomorrow?
forth. Okay, so,
Do you want to make this specific to COVID-19, the coronavirus?
Yeah.
well, the
Specific.
thing about making it specific is, I don't know if somebody has COVID-19. Only a real health professional will be able to tell me that. So we have to make these questions circle around concerns. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So your preamble already expresses that that's what it's about, but it can't be limited to somebody who has COVID-19. You know, we have to be able to.
No, you understood me wrong. I was saying, do we want to limit this to a period of time where this is declared not to be a for lack of a better
Just
term.
declared a state of emergency by the governor of Maryland.
Right.
Right, well, yes, with the Maryland, let's just state of emergency, I suppose we should,
That's a time limit that's definitive.
that's clear. And, or you can put it, you know, whereby the governor of the state of Maryland declares a state of emergency is when this particular thing kicks in. Because that's a real definitive thing. The governor has declared a state of emergency, so. Which should probably be even in the whereas.
Yes.
Yes, that's a,
All right, so we'll meet back here again, 7 o'clock tomorrow.
okay.
Well, we'll be in the conference room. Everybody's still public, so you're still welcome to come.
So we had to put something out on the door, I guess.
I can put it on the door now.
It's Thursday, are you gonna do Thursday? Thursday? Oh, I can't do it Thursday, I'm out of town.
Yeah, let's just do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow's fine.
Tomorrow work?
Tomorrow works, yeah, I'll make it work.
You guys?
Get a no support, I'll make it work.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Blue.
I'll make that motion to adjourn this meeting.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, this meeting is now adjourned. Aye.
All right, thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Barr. Pass this thing.